Welcome to Horror History, where we explore the dark and disturbing tales that shape our world. I am your host, Vigilante, and today we're diving into a story that has haunted a family and a community for decades. It's the disappearance of a 16-year-old Cathy Moulton from Portland, Maine, and the shocking revelations that would finally bring some answers after over 40 years. This case has all the elements of a classic mystery: a teenage girl who vanishes without a trace, a search that stretches for years, and a breakthrough that sends shockwaves through a small town. But the journey to the truth would be so long and fraught with missteps, false leads, and painful twists. The Moulton family never stopped searching for Cathy, even as the case went cold. But in the end, it was a tip, one that came decades after her disappearance, that would break the case wide open. This is Horror History Season 1, Episode 4, The Tragic Case of Cathy Moulton. Let's go back to 1971, to the day Cathy disappeared, and retrace the steps that led to this haunting mystery. Cathy Moulton was 16 years old in 1971, a high school junior at Deering High School in Portland, Maine. Cathy was known for her bright personality and her creative talent. She was a lover of fashion design and art, with dreams of becoming a professional artist one day. Cathy wasn't just a talented student, she was a well-liked and caring young woman. Her friends described her as outgoing, kind-hearted, and a natural leader. Cathy's family, especially her parents, Lyman and Claire Moulton, were extremely close-knit. She had 2 siblings, and the Moultons were known to be a tight, loving family. Cathy was a young woman, full of promise and ambition. At 16, she had a whole future ahead of her, and Portland was a place she felt safe. There were no indicators that Cathy had any reason to run away or leave home. Her family and friends couldn't have been more confident in her character. So when she vanished, the shock was palpable. On the afternoon of September 24th, 1971, Cathy asked her father for permission to run some errands. Lyman Moulton dropped Cathy off at the corner of Congress Street, a busy street in downtown Portland. She was planning to pick up some fabric and thread for a sewing project she had been working on. After finishing her errands, Cathy stopped by Starbird Music, a local record store, to chat with her friend. After leaving the music store around 6:30 p.m., Cathy told her friends that she was heading home. However, she was never seen again. Her family later learned that Cathy had planned to walk home from downtown, but she never made it. This was the last time anyone reported seeing Cathy alive. As night began to fall, Cathy's family grew concerned. By 8 p.m., Cathy had still not returned home. This wasn't like her. She was a dependable teenager, and her parents were immediately worried. Lyman Moulton retraced Cathy's steps, visiting the places she'd been that afternoon, but there was no sign of her. By 10 p.m., after an extensive search of the neighborhood, Lyman and Claire contacted the police. The Portland Police Department initially believed Cathy had run away, as was often the assumption with teenage disappearances at the time. This response frustrated the Moultons, who were certain their daughter was in danger. Cathy had never run away before, and she had no reason to. However, the police still believed it was a runaway case. The Moulton family didn't wait for the authorities to take action. They began their own search, reaching out to Cathy's friends and relatives. Flyers were posted throughout Portland, and they even hired a private investigator, but nothing yielded results. The investigation had stalled. Months passed, and the authorities continued to believe Cathy had simply run away. In the years that followed, Cathy's family never gave up hope. The case remained open, but the lack of solid evidence and witnesses meant that there was no real progress. In 1988, nearly 17 years after Cathy's disappearance, the Portland Police Department reopened the case. A new detective was assigned to the investigation, Detective Thomas Kelly, who decided to approach the case with a fresh perspective. Kelly was determined to pursue every possible lead and leave no stone unturned. His first step was to verify Cathy's dental records and compare them to any unidentified bodies that had been discovered in the years since her disappearance. In 1988, a body was discovered in British Columbia, Canada, and there was speculation that it might be Cathy. The body had similarities to Cathy's description, female, roughly the same age at the time of death, and similar physique. However, after thorough examination, it was determined that the body did not belong to Cathy. The lead was a dead end, but Detective Kelly was not ready to give up. During this time, a man named John Shaw, who had lived in Portland during the 1970s, came forward with a shocking tip. Shaw, who had previously been in prison for violent crimes, claimed to have information about Cathy's disappearance. Shaw told authorities that he and his accomplice, David Middleman, had abducted Cathy the night she vanished. According to Shaw's confession, he and Middleman had approached Cathy near Congress Street and coerced her into their vehicle. Shaw described Cathy as being frightened but compliant. He claimed that after some conversation, things escalated, and they killed her before disposing of her body in an undisclosed location. Shaw's statement was chilling and full of details that only someone involved in the crime could have known. He mentioned, for example, that Cathy had been wearing a specific jacket, something that only her family and close friends knew about. This corroborated the details from Cathy's family members who had remembered what she was wearing when she left home. But Shaw's confession raised many questions. While his detailed account matched certain pieces of evidence, there was still no body, no definitive proof. Shaw and Middleman both claimed to know what happened to Cathy, but their accounts were inconsistent. Some of the details they provided didn't add up, leading investigators to believe that there might have been more people involved. Detectives soon discovered that Shaw and Middleman were both known for their involvement in criminal activities, including violent assaults. Both men had spent time in jail, and some believed that their involvement in Cathy's abduction could have been part of a broader pattern of violence. There were also rumors that Cathy might have been targeted because of her appearance or other factors, perhaps linked to a larger group of men. One theory that persisted through the years was that Cathy's disappearance might have been linked to a trafficking operation. Could she have been abducted for exploitation? Some speculated that Shaw and Middleman were part of a larger network of criminals. This theory remained unproven, but it added to the sense of unease surrounding Cathy's case. By 2015, after more than 4 decades of searching for answers, the Moulton family was ready for some closure. Unfortunately, Cathy's father, Lyman, had passed away in 1993. He had never learnt the truth about what happened to his daughter, and his death without closure haunted the family. Claire Moulton, Cathy's mother, held on to hope throughout the years. Even as the case went cold, she never stopped hoping her daughter would return. She continued to speak to the media, urging anyone with information to come forward, but in 2004, Claire passed away, still holding onto the hope that Cathy's disappearance would be solved. Cathy's siblings have continued to honor her memory, raising awareness about her case and pushing for justice. Although they now have some answers, the emotional scars remain. The closure brought by Shaw's confession didn't change the fact that their daughter and sister was taken away so violently and so unexpectedly. Even though the case has officially been resolved, there are lingering questions. The community still feels the weight of Cathy's disappearance, and many wonder whether there are other criminals out there who are involved in her fate but never held accountable. Cathy's story is a painful reminder of the heartache that comes with a loved one's disappearance. The Moulton family never gave up on her, and they ultimately found answers, but it took decades. The tipster who finally came forward gave them the truth, but the process of piecing it together left so many unanswered questions. The trauma of losing a child, compounded by the years of uncertainty, is a pain few can understand. It's a story that underscores the importance of swift, throughout investigations. Cathy's case is a testament to the power of persistence and the need for hope, even when the odds seem impossible. Thank you for joining me in exploring Cathy Moulton's tragic story. If you have any thoughts or theories of your own, or know of any other cases you'd like us to dive into, I'd love to hear from you. Until then, stay curious, stay cautious, and as always, stay safe. Peace.